we're going to do a simple region that everybody can relate to. Let's do a 24 inch return, 36, 4, 24. So we have our little region drawn. If we click on the back wall, click on elevation, go to 6, you will notice that you have a Planet Closets V8 catalog in your system now. That's part of the Planet Closet package. If we click on the Planet Closet V8, notice you'll have closet panels and then all the sections. Click Closet Panel. First thing I'm going to do is just simply throw out my panels and then position them. So I'm going to go a vertical suspended. I'm going to right click and copy it, and when I drop it, I notice I'm going past the wall. When I drop it, it snaps right to the edge of the wall. And I'm going to grab my maybe some floor mounted panels, this out in the center, and then I'm going to right click and copy this. I'm going to use my clearance. So in the upper left hand corner where it's highlighted in blue, I type in 30 inches. And what that does is basically positions it 30 inches apart from the panel. From here, maybe I want to position that center section right in the center of the room. If I rubber band around both of them and simply right-click on one of them, I move them. That does is basically creates one big object box so I can move it all at one time. Okay, center position. This is a 96-inch wall, I'm just going to simply type in V8. It's going to center everything right in the center. Here, all we'll do is grab my sections. So let's go ahead and grab some hanging sections, suspended, hang, drop it here, maybe a long hang, this one out here. In the section, let's go ahead and put shelving in there. And then you notice the object box, or the dotted line there, smaller than the opening. When you drop that thing, it's going to position itself and also stretch to fit and be the two partitions. Everything is nice and tight. From here, we're going to use some options that we have in the system with the closet package. The first option is my baseboard heights. If I simply type in my baseboard height of 4, maybe a 1 inch thick, and then we have quarter rounded as well. So we'll go 175, 75. So a baseboard that's 4 by 1, and then I have quarter round that's 3/4 inch. What that did is actually put it in operation on the bottom portions of our panels. So it's notch itself around that baseboard. As well as the center section here, look at this thing closely. The adjustable shelf has its 13 and 31/32. The shelf here, actually cut it back 1 inch because that baseboard comes right behind it. To accommodate, depending on how big the baseboard is, it will accommodate things that are stuck in front of it. That way you don't have to cut things down in the field. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at some other options. One being if you click on a panel, you have options over here calling out 32mm elevation, 30mm height. What this means is if you want to control the height of this, it's actually sitting on the wall, maybe move it down or move it up, you can use the elevation from like 30 and 30 seconds to say 30. I did that. It automatically went to the nearest 32mm increment, so 30 1/4. The reason this is here is because you can actually control it exactly where you want it to go. If you keep it true, it's going to fall to the nearest form pattern. If you change it to false, it's going to go exactly where you want it to. which may not fall on a 32mm boring system. So if you change it back to true, if you noticed it went back to 40 5/16 instead of 40. So it will, the holes will line up across your system. I'll put that thing back where it's supposed to be. Just click it and drop it, and it snaps to where it's supposed to be. Also, the 32mm height, what this means is if I control the height of the panel as well. So if I take the panel from 48 5/8 to 30, you notice the panel went to 20 and 30 seconds instead of 30. If I write that and take that false, I take that panel, just say I want to go to 35, it's going to go to exactly 35. Which is not a true 30mm system. If I take the back to true, it's going to go to 34 and 30 seconds, which is actually falling on a true 32mm system. So go ahead and back that to 48, drop it to 48 5/8. Also, notice there's little brackets here, and actually for the European bracket. So some options with this. In this specific panel, if this is going to be machined, it's going to half route that panel because there's nothing next to it. This specific instance is going to route, there's going to be a route all the way through that panel because there's a section on the left and right. Now I can overwrite those routes by simply clicking on the panel and you override route bracket. If I change that from false to true, now the panel that is supposed to be half routed is now full routed. It just basically switches it to the opposite type of route. If I type to false, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. I also have the option to swap brackets from side to side. For instance, in this section, maybe I want the brackets to be on the inside of the section for whatever reason. If I click on the panel and swap the bracket to the other side, it simply swaps the bracket to the other side of the panel. Same thing on the opposite panel here. Okay? So that will put the operations on the other side as well. The other thing is maybe I don't need this. Since this is floor mounted, maybe I don't need those suspension brackets. I can come simply down here to say use hanging brackets and turn them off. For this, let's go ahead and leave them off. Okay. Go ahead and show how easy it is to create your section out of an existing system, an existing section. If we click on the center section and let's just edit it, I'm going to do the section view. First thing I'll do is go to the face view and delete everything that's in the system. So what I'm going to leave me with is basically a top, and a bottom, and a toe kick. So I can actually build that section. First thing I want to do is actually split the face of the cabinet or the face of the section into however many openings I want. So if I want to do drawers on bottom and the shelves on top, I'm just going to do 2 equal openings. And then I'm going to go inside the section and I'm going to put that shelf where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to click on horizontal number, click on that line, and it drops in a fixed shelf. If I look at the operations happening and look at that shelf specifically, you can see that the radix fittings are actually dropping right down to line bore, exactly where it's supposed to go. Look at that a little bit closer as we drop more things into the section. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go back to my face view. I'm going to click on the bottom half of this and split this horizontal multiply. I'm going to go ahead and stick in 4 drawers. That basically created 4 equal-sized drawers in that opening. Maybe Mrs. Jones wants a 10-inch on the bottom and 3 7s above it. So how do we make that? We're going to click on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and type in 10 inches and hit enter. automatically defaults back to 9 and 31 seconds. Reason for that is it's actually falling on a 32mm system. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that height on that bottom. As I work my way up, I'm at 7 here. Let's go to 7 and 7/16, again, which is another 32mm system boring pattern, and lock that one. As I work my way up, I'm going to lock each one. That the one below it won't move after I've already changed it. And then we notice when I use the top shelf or top drawer here, that shelf is going to come right along with it. So I'm going to hit 7. You notice that fixed shelf all drop down with the top of that drawer, so our reveals stay exactly where they need to be. Go ahead and put in the adjustable shelves, and then let's go ahead and look at the system. So I can say adjustable shelves, this equal openings, so if I say 3 equal openings, it's actually going to put 2 shelves in. So I'm going to say I'm going to need 5 equal openings, which should put 4 shelves in. Now, since I have my shelves and my drawers in, let's go ahead and take a real close look at the operations happening and where those pieces are actually sitting. So, if I roll out here, and then you can see the operations for my drawer glides are lining up with line bore, as well as my drawer gaps are lining up with line bore, and my reveal, depending on what your top and bottom reveal is dropping right where it's supposed to go. If I have my adjustable shelves sitting right where the line bore is, or less where they should be, everything is just happening like it's supposed to. Look at a couple other options. Rayfix fittings. If we zoom in here, you can see the Rayfix fittings on this shelf. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the shelf, and then we can take a look at what's really happening. So the shelf has a cam hole with an outrigger hole. Same thing on the other side. What I'm going to do is actually start modifying some of the stuff. If I click on it, click on the shelf, I have my options over here again. The raise this part option. If I change that from true to false, the Rayfix fittings goes away, which is not what we want to do on this part. Let's back on the Rayfix auxiliary hole. Change that from true to false. That's what happens when I do that. Typically take the outrigger hole off the part. Okay, so the auxiliary hole is actually the outrigger hole on your cam. I click part, I'm going to turn that back on. I have Rayfix face. I'll change it from the front face to the back face. Basically, it flips it to the opposite side of the part. Since you may use this to actually get some access or gain access to tightening the Rayfix fitting down. We also have another option to, I'll put that to the front, to tighten the Rayfix fitting down from the opposite side that it's drilled on. If the Rayfix through hole, I turn those on, change from false to true, you notice that there's an operation in the center here. What it does is basically drills a hole all the way through the part, so you can actually take and bring the Rayfix fitting down from the top of the part versus trying to get a screwdriver up underneath here and tighten it down from the bottom. You can tighten it down from the top and then place a cap over it. So there are a couple few options that we have with the Rayfix fittings. You can also, I'll change that back to false. I'll leave it to true. You also have the ability to move the Rayfix fittings. So fix setback from the front is a distance from the front to the center of the Rayfix fitting. If there was a third line bore in this panel, which there's not, have a center setback. So you would be able to control that center Rayfix fitting if there was one. And back, the Rayfix setback in the rear, which is the back from the rear of the panel to the center of the ray fix. So let's go and change that to 8 inches. What that does is this basically pushes that ray fix fitting on the back of the panel forward. Now, if you change that and wanted to get it back to what it originally was, you can actually simply shut the ray fix off and turn them back on, and it will automatically reposition itself to where it's supposed to be. Couple options. There's actually a cut to fit option in the system. Sometimes closet people like to not drill this portion or maybe that portion of the system and actually oversize it and then cut it down and actually fit it to the wall on site. If you click on a section, you also have a cut to fit option over here. To drop down, it's either on the left or on the right. Depending on which you pick, it's going to oversize that section on the left side or on the right side. If I click on the left side and look at this section now, you notice that the light is not drilled. So the top and the outlet rod are 4 inches bigger than they're supposed to be. The setting that we have in our system oversize those parts 4 inches bigger. If we look at the actual section, you can see it's 31.5 inches wide, and they're actually 35.5 inches wide. So oversizing those parts. Pretty cool feature if you actually go and cut things down on site. So basically, the closet module and all the options. Now let's go ahead and look at making this a pretty presentation. I go to Plan View. I can right-click on the screen, go to Drawing. What that does is it takes a scalable image. I'm going to go to the elevation. Click on the screen again to Drawing, taking another scalable image. I'm going to go to Plan View. On the turns there and hide those walls. Simply go into a 3D mode. Now I can actually view the closet itself without those walls sticking out in front of it. I'm going to go ahead and go back to a plan view. I'm going to throw in a floor. Let's build. So let's basically put a floor object in our system. When you're in a 3D mode, you can click on textures here. You can click on floor and go ahead and grab one of the floors and click on the back wall or on the walls, and we'll just do a rough plaster. They kind of look pretty. Now if we go to PhotoVision, we can go to full architectural and kind of see what this closet's really going to look like. You take that drawing there or that render, you can send it to Mrs. Jones and certainly see what her closet's going to look like. It's back to another 3D mode. I'm going to go to Drawing here, and then I'm going to go to my layout page. Click on Room Plan, drag it here, and there's my plan view. Elevation. There's my elevation view. And 3D. And then you right click on anything, you can scale it up or down. I'm going to go ahead and scale it up so we can see it. And then detail out as much as you possibly want to. And send it off to your customer. That is the closet module, and hopefully it will help you out. Have a great day.